Am I the butthole for suing my neighbor after their kid trespassed and fell into my koi pond? I have a koi pond in my backyard. It's not just any koi pond, it's a full-blown, professionally designed Japanese garden with a bridge, waterfalls, and koi that cost more than my car. I'm talking $1,000 for a single fish. Maintaining this pond is my pride and joy. I put years into this hobby, and my yard is securely fenced with no trespassing signs everywhere. Enter my neighbor, Karen. Fake name, but fitting. Karen has a son, let's call him Timmy, who is notorious for wandering into other people's yards uninvited. I've talked to Karen multiple times about this, but she just brushes it off with, "Kids will be kids." Last week, while I was out running errands, I got a frantic call from Karen. Apparently, Timmy climbed over my fence to feed the fish, even though I have explicitly told him to stay out. In doing so, he slipped, fell into the pond, and destroyed part of my carefully maintained ecosystem. Several of my prized koi died due to stress, and the filtration system was damaged because of the debris Timmy kicked in. Luckily, Timmy wasn't seriously hurt, just a few scrapes, but Karen has been demanding I pay for his medical bills. She claims my pond is an attractive nuisance, and that I should have had a cover or something to prevent kids from falling in. I argued that 1, it's a private fenced property, and 2, her son had no business being there in the first place. When I refused to pay, Karen lost it and started bad-mouthing me to the whole neighborhood, calling me heartless and a terrible person. I've since filed a lawsuit against her for the cost of the koi, the damage to my filtration system, and repairs to my pond, over $5,000 in total. Some of my friends think I'm taking it too far, saying, "He's just a kid." But others agree that Karen should have been watching him better. So, am I the butthole for suing my neighbor after her kid trespassed and destroyed my koi pond? Am I the butthole for ending things with my girlfriend after she filed a lawsuit against me for over $250,000? To add some context, me, 20-year-old male, and my girlfriend, 21-year-old female, have been together for almost 4 years. 2 years ago when I was 18, I was driving and we got into a bad accident after being T-boned by a truck. The accident was entirely my fault. I had only minor injuries while she suffered a deep gash on her hand. We paid out of pocket for the initial hospital expense and all subsequent medical expenses, including physical therapy and psychiatric therapy. She missed a week of work and regained use of her hand in a few months. I would say, at the time of writing this, it is 90% operational. This whole time, I felt absolutely awful and was with her as often as I could, trying to be as supportive as possible. It was the least I could do. Now, 2 years later, just days before the statute of limitations on the case expires, I get served papers that my girlfriend and family is going for everything in my insurance, including a $250,000 coverage. Her claims are for mental anguish along with permanent damage to her hand. She never told me about this in the past 2 years, despite apparently knowing she would go through with this lawsuit the entire time. Understandably, I was upset, but she is many miles away this summer in Alaska, and it has been difficult to communicate with her. She insists she is doing what's best for her and wants to use the money for us in our future. But I feel hurt and betrayed that she never told me that first off she was feeling so bad about the accident still, and secondly that she won't talk to me about the lawsuit and went behind my back to file it. I have trouble picturing a future with somebody that would go behind my back and decide to make a big decision like this without telling me. I want to try and choose forgiveness here, but I am having trouble getting past the betrayal. Am I in the wrong for this, or should I simply accept that it's what's best for her and that she wants to use it for our future? Am I the butthole for suing my sister after she tried to patent my family heirloom rose? I know the title sounds crazy, but let me explain. My family has been passing down this cherished rose plant through cuttings for centuries, and my sister's attempt to patent it feels like a betrayal that could ruin our family's tradition. I'm 24 and live in a small village where community and culture are everything. Our village is rich with traditions, but the one that means the most to me is the legacy of these roses. They represent not just beauty, but a deep-rooted connection to my ancestors. On our 18th birthdays, each of us receives a cutting of this special rose along with my great-great-great-grandfather's journal, which details our family's history and the rose's significance in ancient France. When I turned 18, I was excited to receive my cuttings, but my grandmother made sure we understood the importance of this heirloom. She had us sign a contract stating that we couldn't share these cuttings with anyone outside the family, nor could we patent or distribute them. The weight of that agreement was a reminder of the responsibility we had to uphold our family's legacy. Fast forward to now, my younger sister, who is 22, decided to take matters into her own hands. After doing some research, she announced that she intended to patent the rose, claiming it as her own unique creation. This wasn't just a misunderstanding, it felt like a direct assault on our family's culture. I was furious. How could she ignore the traditions that have been passed down for generations? How could she disregard the bond we all share with this plant, and with each other? I tried talking to her, explaining how her actions could undermine the very essence of our family's history. She dismissed my concerns, insisting that she could commercialize it and make a fortune. To her, this was just a business opportunity, but to me it was a complete violation of our heritage. Feeling like I had no other choice, I made my grandmother take legal action against my sister. I couldn't sit back and let her turn our family heirloom into a mere profit scheme. I know it sounds extreme, but protecting our legacy means everything to me. Am I the butthole for leaving after he refused to sue his mother for all the money she stole from us for his brother's funeral expenses? Please bear with me. I'm so distraught right now. I'm a 30-year-old female, and I was with my now ex for 7 years. In December, we found out we were expecting our first baby. I'm due in 5 days. In April, we mutually decided that I would leave my job because I had early signs of preeclampsia. This heavily impacted our finances. We had almost $13,000 saved, but given that we went from making $4,500 a month to $2,000 a month, it was still hard. Well, my husband's older brother passed away a month ago in a drug overdose. He had been struggling for some time, and my husband took it particularly hard, as his brother was his best friend before addiction consumed him. His mother called a family meeting a couple weeks later and asked everyone to pool together money for a proper burial, headstone, and cremation. It totaled to almost $17,000. Despite not having the money for it really, my husband offered what he thought we could afford, which was $1,500. During which time his mother basically said that wasn't enough and made him feel like shit about it. Arguing that we had one job and a baby on the way didn't matter to his mother, and she started ignoring his phone calls shortly after the meeting. Fast forward to Thursday of last week, I got an alert from our bank account that $16,500 was withdrawn by check. The bank launches an investigation and they have my husband's mother on camera cashing the check. That was all of our money. Literally left us with $20 and no money again until he gets paid next Friday. He doesn't even have money to get to work. I immediately told him I fully expect him to sue her, as the bank is ready to press full charges and has prompted us with how to do so. But he won't. He said he can't morally do that because his brother just died, and he says his mother wouldn't have done that if she was in a stable mind, but she's clearly not thinking straight since the death of her son. I'm literally due in 5 days, and we have absolutely not a single penny to our name for our baby, let alone food to eat or money for bills. I told him if he didn't sue her, I was leaving. Death or not, sound mind or not, we have a baby due and nothing left. He still refused, so I left. I spent the last of the money to get a bus ticket to go to my mother's home without a penny to my name. He says I'm wrong because I left when he was literally broken. His brother's death has literally destroyed him. Am I the butthole for suing a coworker? Last Thursday, my coworker, 31-year-old female, Jane, decided to pull an office prank on me, 23-year-old male. I work in a smaller-sized office with about 15 other people, and we each have our own workspaces. Some people bring in personal items like photos or plants, and others bring in productivity items like mice and headphones. When I got to work and tried to start my computer, I immediately noticed something was wrong with my keyboard. The spacebar, shift, and alt keys were all stuck. As I unplug it and start fiddling with it, Jane comes up from behind me giggling, asking what I'm doing. She then quickly admits that she came in early and superglued some of the keys down. I told her that I didn't find her damaging my personal items funny and she needed to replace it. She immediately became upset and left, so I went straight to my supervisor and told them what had occurred and that I needed Jane to replace my keyboard with an exact copy. The keyboard in question was about $200, a bit more than the basic ones we were issued at work. My supervisor told me they would take care of it and email them the model of the keyboard she glued. On Friday, they let me know that Jane would replace it. This morning on my desk was a box for an Amazon Basics keyboard and posted apology from Jane. I took the box and immediately went to go find her, as this wasn't what I was led to believe she had purchased. We argued for a bit because she said I was being dramatic and disrespectful of her apology. I told her that while I appreciate she's trying to make things right, the keyboard she purchased was very different from the one she destroyed. She said that it was the best I was going to get from her, and I could take it or leave it. I told her if she had no intention of replacing the item, I would take her to small claims court, and then left to find my supervisor. I told them what happened, and they said they would have a talk with her and follow back up with me later. After lunch, a few hours ago, I received an email from my supervisor saying that they felt she had done the right thing. The email also stated that suing a coworker could have an impact on my future with the company. I want to say that I definitely knew there was a risk in taking any item to leave at work unattended, but it is something that everyone at this office does. It was an extra keyboard as I received a new one as a birthday gift a few months back, so it's not like it's something I bought just for work. I just feel like she shouldn't be destroying things she has no intention to replace. I imagine that had this been done to something provided by the office or to the pictures of her family on her desk, it wouldn't have gone down the same. Should I just let it go?